For decades, there was a giant class of warship that dwarfed all others, and this was the Nimitz-class. These ships are vast and are still crucial in the transportation of jets across the globe, as well as crucial in delivering missiles to hostile territories if needed. Since the 1960s, the Nimitz has been seen as a world leader in this type of vessel. Let's take a look at why this is the case. But before we get started, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more just like it, remember to give us a like and subscribe to Military World to get more sent straight to your notifications. The Nimitz-class aircraft carriers were originally ordered to supplement the aircraft carriers of the Kitty Hawk class and Enterprise class to maintain the strength and capability of the U.S. Navy after these older carriers were decommissioned. The ships were designed to be an upgrade on previous U.S. carriers. Among other design improvements, the 2 reactors on Nimitz-class carriers take up less space than the 8 used on the Enterprise. This means that Nimitz carriers can carry 90% more aviation fuel and 50% more ordnance when compared to the Forrestal-class equivalent. Another improvement seen in this type of carrier is their improved resistance to damage. The U.S. Navy has stated that the carriers could withstand 3 times the damage sustained by the Essex class by Japanese air attacks during the Second World War. The hangars on the ships are divided into 3 fire bays with thick steel doors that are there to restrict the spread of a potential blaze. This addition has been present on U.S. aircraft carriers since World War II because of the kamikaze attacks seen during that conflict. The first ships were designed and inspired by the requirements of the Vietnam War. To a certain extent, the carrier operations in Vietnam showed the need for increased capabilities of aircraft carriers over their survivability, as they were used to send sorties into the war and were not attacked so much themselves. As a result of this experience, Nimitz carriers were designed with larger stores of aviation fuel and larger magazines in comparison to previous carriers. But this was also as a result of increased space available by the new design of the ship's propulsion systems. A major purpose of the ships was initially to support the U.S. military during the Cold War, and this was another influence on the ship's design, including using nuclear power instead of oil for greater endurance when deployed in blue water, and the function of making adjustments to the carrier's weapon systems depending on new intelligence and technological developments. The Nimitz-class were initially categorized only as attack carriers, but the ships have been constructed with anti-submarine capabilities since USS Carl Vinson launched in 1982. As a result, the ships and their aircraft can participate in a wide range of operations, which can include sea and air blockades, mine laying, and missile strikes on land, air, and sea. All 10 nuclear-powered Nimitz-class carriers were built by Huntington Ingalls Industries Newport News Shipbuilding, which is now known as Northrop Grumman Ship Systems, based in Virginia. The first in its class, the USS Nimitz, was commissioned in 1975. The last of the class, USS George H.W. Bush, was commissioned in January of 2009. The more recent Nimitz-class carriers have a displacement of 102,000 tons when fully loaded. They also have a length of 1,040 feet, or 317 meters, and a beam of 133.8 feet, or 40.8 meters. The carrier reaches a max speed of over 30 knots, or 34.5 miles per hour, and can accommodate 3,184 personnel and 2,800 aircrew. The 50 TAC Air Air Wing configuration on board includes up to 82 aircraft. This can be broken down into various configurations. For example, in 1994, 50 Army helicopters replaced the usual air wing on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower during operations near Haiti. But typically, this would be 12 FA-18E-F Hornets, 36 FA-18 Hornets, 4 E-2C Hawkeyes, and 4 EA-6B Prowlers fixed-wing, as well as helicopters, including 4 SH-60F and 2 HH-60H Seahawks. The carrier is also able to deploy S-3B Viking aircraft, but these have been phased out and replaced with the FA-18EF Super Hornet. The last operational deployment of the F-14 was in March of 2006, and these have also been decommissioned as of September of 2006. The flight deck measures 1,092 feet by 253 feet, or 333 by 77 meters, and is equipped with 4 lifts, 4 steam-driven catapults, and 4 arrestor wires. These circumvent the need for a bigger runway. The way that this works is that the steam is diverted from the ship's boilers and piped up to just under the flight deck, where it is held and pressurized in special tanks. In the meantime, the front landing gear of a carrier aircraft is loaded onto a small plate-sized shuttle. When the aircraft is ready for launch, the pressure is suddenly released and, in a burst of power, accelerates the shuttle and attached aircraft down the flight deck to takeoff speeds. The carrier is able to launch one aircraft every 20 seconds if needed. All ships of the class are powered by 2 A4W nuclear reactors, kept in separate compartments. They power 4 propeller shafts to produce its max speed and maximum power of 260,000 brake horsepower. The reactors produce heat through nuclear fission, which heats water. This is then passed through 4 General Electric turbines, which are shared by the 2 reactors. The turbines give power to 4 bronze screws, each with a diameter of 25 feet and a weight of 66,000 pounds. The Nimitz-class ships constructed since USS Ronald Reagan in 2003 also have bulbous bows in order to improve speed and fuel efficiency by reducing wave-making resistance. Because of the nuclear method of power, the ships are capable of operating continuously for over 20 years without refueling, and are predicted to have a service life of over 50 years. On top of the aircraft carried on board, the ships also carry defensive equipment for use against missiles and hostile aircraft. These are either 3 or 4 NATO RIM-7 Sea Sparrow missile launchers, as well as either 3 or 4 20mm Phalanx CIWS missile defense cannons. The USS Ronald Reagan has none of these. Instead, it was built with the RIM-116 rolling airframe missile system, 2 of which have also been installed on the USS Nimitz and USS George Washington. All the other ships will also receive this upgrade once they come back to port. Since the USS Theodore Roosevelt in 1986, the carriers have also been constructed with 2.5-inch Kevlar armor over vital spaces, and earlier ships have been retrofitted with it. For close combat, there are 4 Raytheon General Dynamics 20mm Phalanx 6-barreled Mk-15 close-hit weapon systems that have an impressive firing rate of 3,000 rounds a minute and a range of 4,900 feet, or 1,500 meters. As for other countermeasures, these ships include decoys with 4 Sipican Super Rapid Bloom offboard chaff and 6-barreled Mk-36 decoy launchers, which deploy infrared flares and chaff. The Raytheon AN/SLQ-32V electronic warfare system detects hostile radar emissions by 2 sets of antennae, and then the system analyzes pulse repetition rate, scan mode, scan period, and frequency. The system is designed to identify the threat and direction of hostile activity and provide a warning signal that interfaces to the ship's countermeasure system. The carrier's combat data systems are based around the Block 0 or 1 Naval Tactical and Advanced Combat Direction System with communication links 4A, 11, 14, and 16. Weapons control is managed by 3 Mk-91 Mod 1 MFCS directors for the Sea Sparrow missile. The Nimitz, Ronald Reagan, and John Stennis variants were fitted with the SSDS Mark II Mod 0 ship self-defense system courtesy of Raytheon. The SSDS will provide automated self-defense against anti-ship cruise missiles by integrating and coordinating the ship's weapons and electronic warfare systems. The USS Nimitz was fitted with the Lockheed Martin TIS Digital Reconnaissance Processing System, which can receive real-time imagery from airborne sensors. The Nimitz-class nuclear-powered fleet carriers really made up the backbone of the U.S. Navy for the last decades of the Cold War. In 1990, when the Soviet Union fell, ending the Cold War as was seen back then, the USN had 5, 1 for each major fleet: USS Nimitz, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Carl Vinson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. 5 more would be built until a new design change brought the Gerald Ford class. 10 aircraft carriers were built over 41 years, which shows how much trust went into the design. Now, new offerings have taken over the giant of the sea, but the legacy of the Nimitz will never be forgotten. What are your thoughts on the Nimitz-class? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to Military World to get our latest videos straight to your notifications.